All right, welcome to a live version of Shooting Hoops in the Boot podcast. I'm your host, Mark Manley, Charlie Duckworth in the house, Chris Brown, and our new man, Travion Carter, the man who has all the hair in the bunch, guys. Guys, what an exhausting long day yesterday, but it was well worth it. Anytime you can cover the Bootheel Conference from opening tip to final buzzard on opening day, man, it's a great time. I know one thing. My butt is sore from the bleachers, and my back as well. Charlie Duckworth, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I woke up at a nice cold 2:30 in the afternoon today. I was exhausted. I was tired. I stayed up till about
man.
1:30.
That must have been nice to sleep at 2:30.
Oh yeah,
I think I went to bed at 12:30 or 1 and got back up at 6.
Oh man, I woke up at I fell asleep at about 2:30. So I had a nice 12 hours of sleep. I'm awoken, ready for the rest Monday.
All right, Chris Brown, what about you, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Like you said, I think that back, I think all four of our butts should be sore, but that back, I think if you're above 40, 45, that's when that back comes into play. And mine's
you got that right.
But man, I
was
was just keyed up, man. Some great games that we're going to talk about. I'm excited for that. And man, just had a good time. And I was still smiling when I got home in the cold. And I can't wait for tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll tell you, primetime Tuesday as well, man. That's going to be awesome. And our new man, Travion Carter. Travion, introduce your fans to our fans out there. Might not know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man, and all that good stuff about Travion Carter.
Ooh, we get to do it all about me. So, I'm Travion Carter, joined alongside Charlie Duckworth, as he says a lot. I'm his color commentator. I do a lot of the games for Caruthersville. I come help out with the tournaments a lot. I'm just a helper here, and I attend Caruthersville High School, and I just love playing sports and love watching them. So,
Well, hey, we're glad to have you on board, man. We appreciate that. You and Charlie do an excellent job, and you guys have had a lot of exciting games and buzzer beater calls at that, man. I think you guys have had 3 buzzer beaters this year, and when we say buzzer beaters, we mean buzzer beaters that end the ball game. So, yeah. All right, guys, to our listeners out there, thanks to joining in tonight. We got a very special guest later on in the show, Coach Kyle Moore of the Cena Torrensville Lions. So I'm looking forward to that. Coach Moore's first time on Shooting Hoops in the Boot podcast with us, and what better time to have him than the Bootheel Conference, and when he's hosting the Bootheel Conference tournament as well there in Cena Torrensville. All right, guys, so a little snow prevented us from playing basketball up until Friday night, and Friday night Starter County tournament got going on. A little behind schedule there date-wise, but some exciting action over there in Bloomfield in one of the best gymnasiums in southeast Missouri. I believe that is Charlie Duckworth's favorite gym, if I'm correct. Is that right, Charlie?
It is. Me and Jeremy did Valley versus Puxco there last year, and I've always heard stuff about it. I think I've been there a few times when my dad covered basketball, but also I was like 3, so I don't really remember all that.
The younger days, right?
Yeah, that was before I gained my conscience fully. But yeah, it's a really beautiful gym, and I'm glad to see that it's still getting utilized well.
Oh yeah, man, it's I'll call it the best gym in Southeast Missouri. To be honest with you, ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it, in my opinion. All right, so they opened up the opening matchup. We seen Woodland over Richland, 83-50. I don't think there's any surprise there, guys. No need to really talk about that one. But a game that was pretty interesting. The Bernie Mules in Advance, and a rematch that Advance won earlier in the year, but Bernie got them 60-58 in a nail biter. Any insights on that one, anybody?
Yeah, I'll talk about Bernie.
I knew you would. You love some Bernie Mules.
It's funny that how their team is just consistency. I know Coach Long, it probably drives him nuts. As we're going to talk about later, the next round. But to just get by them by 2, man, it's you just don't never know what you're going to get from them. But you got to. I know Coach Long's got to trust that he's going to have the troops lined out in order, especially come district time. in that big district that they got. But man, just the consistency is just up and down for them.
The Bernie Mules are tough, and I know you and I talked a little bit about it. If their threes are hitting their home, and they're going to be hard to beat for
Oh
anybody.
yeah,
Care what day of week it is, and we'll talk about the championship game later on. But you can tell in about the first 10 minutes of a Bernie game if they're draining those threes, you're in for a long night, man. All right, then we had Pensacola Bloomfield 62-21. I believe Landon Burchard probably beat Bloomfield by himself. Basically, he scored over 20 points, I do believe, man. Dexter over Bell City. I'm a little surprised that Bell City didn't give them a little bit more of a game, 76-51. I know Charlie and I was really putting a little faith in Bell City, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of fell flat. Dexter was a team that kind of shocked me in these 2 games that they played. Just the way that they played. I understand they were the 1 seed last month 2 months ago now in Bloomfield, but like I said, Thursday, I haven't heard much about them since that tournament, and to see them kind of show out and shine, and eventually now make it to that 3rd place game that we'll talk about. I mean, kudos to them. It was an impressive performance all tournament round for them.
Yeah. And we'll move on to last night while we were in San Antonio. They were back at it at Bloomfield, and man, they had an exciting night. Almost 2 upset guys. It's the first one we saw the Bernie Mules beat Woodland 79-69. As we know, Woodland's been our 1 or 2 or 3 team all year long, guys, and now Bernie Mules sneaks by them, and once again, Chris, the Mules beat Woodland.
Yeah, they come out and done what they can do. Bernie's just a scary team. I mean, super scary. They got Acock down low. Man, he's a big guy down there. Takes up a lot of space. And he's muscled up too. But yeah, knocking them threes down. They can be anywhere from a 1 to a 10 on any given night. Like I say, I know it probably drives Coach Long nuts, but they showed up against Woodland, and man, what an upset that one was to knock off state ranked Class 3 Woodland in the conference tournament. Big win for Bernie.
You talk about their 3-point specialists, Hopgood, Massey, and Morgan. Man, they can all shoot that rock, and then like you said, they got Acock in the middle who can change some shots around by blocks, and he actually had a dunk in the ball game when I was watching it. Come home and had to unwind after our great night at Bootheel Conference Tournament and watched a little basketball myself. I watched a little bit of that, and then I watched a little bit of the next one, the Puxco and Dexter game. Woo, man, what a barn burner there, 61-58. I know we were following it during our game, and then Colton Stroud, the sophomore, as Bobby Alford called him, the Bearcat Killer. Buzzer beater. Wins it 61-58 for the Indians. Wow. Could you imagine that as a sophomore burying that shot? And you could tell, we talked about it during our game last night, that as soon as he let it go, he knew it. He already had the number 1 up in the sky. Give us your thoughts on that shot, Charlie Duckworth.
I mean, that shot, it takes a lot of confidence to take that shot. He was wide open there. They all kind of focused on Burchard and Hancock on that play. Dexter did. And they just left Stroud wide open, and he drilled it, and he knew it immediately. I just want to talk about how crazy it was that we were talking about Puxco Woodland being the final of the tournament. It was almost a 3rd place game. If that shot doesn't go in, or if Puxco just misses a shot earlier in the game, we are talking about Puxco Woodland 3rd place game as the co-main event for Bernie versus Dexter of all finals in the Stoddard County tournament. And talk about Bernie as well in this game that when they had to play against Puxco. Me and Travion saw him on the 13th play against Crothersville, and they were in that game. They just weren't as consistent. Chris talks about the consistency of Bernie. They weren't that consistent in that game, and Crothersville had chances and chances against them in both JV and varsity. Because it was like the second they would run the press, me and Travion can both tell you, the second Crothersville would run the press, Bernie knew immediately what to do. But if someone sat back on them, it was all over for their style of offense they wanted to run, which is really weird because it feels like it should be the opposite of play, and historically it has been the opposite. So it's good to see them kind of get that consistency back under their feet and upset Woodland. And who knows what can happen next week when they play Puxico.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one thing is hard to do is beat a team twice, and especially within a few weeks as these teams have played. So that gives us Puxico and the Bernie in the final, and that's going to be Wednesday night. February the 4th is that date. Give us your insight on those games, guys. Puxico and Bernie in the finals, Chris.
Well, let's back up just a little bit and, talking about the kid that knocked down the three. Puxico, 18-1 coming into that game. And they hadn't, other than this loss at Sykeston, they hadn't been tested. I looked on MSHSAA through these scores, and they have been blowing out most everybody. So you're talking about a Dexter team that was at Bloomfield. I know they had fans there, and to be in that game that late, and you talking about the pressure on Puxico, man, it's probably pressure on them every time they hit the court. But at that last possession, even though they were tied, they probably didn't want to go to overtime. But what a big shot! I mean, you can't overstate that enough. How big of a shot that was by an underclassman to get over that hump. Because I bet there was a bunch of people at that gym was thinking, "Hey, we're about to beat this team," but Puxico said, "Nope, nope, nope, not on our watch." And so, hey, kudos to them. For moving on and really playing the first close game they've had all year, like I said, besides the loss at Sykeston. But so we got Puxico in the final. They're going to play Bernie. Like I say, you never know what you're going to get out of Bernie. Man, it could be a game just like the last one Puxico had, where they'll be tied late. And I guarantee you, Coach Long would love that to be closer in it, with 2 minutes left. But man, that's going to be an excellent final. That's going to be an excellent final, and it's just a good tournament as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Trevion, any thoughts on the final between Puxico and Bernie?
Looking back on it, I was speaking about it to Charlie the other day about Bernie, and Bernie coming out when we played Bernie beat us by 1 point, and it was upsetting, but I really do see big things for Bernie because Bernie they're really good at working around a lot of pressure. For example, when they worked around and got around Carruthersville's press, and y'all know that Coach Lamont press. He's great, a great coach, and I see big things for Bernie.
Yeah, and that's a good point, man, because Bernie is very patient with that basketball. Mm-hmm. And when I seen the final score, and I thought that's a Woodland pace. That's not a Bernie Mule pace. They're down in the 40s and 50s, and man, so kudos to Bernie, man, playing Woodland kind of game and getting out of there with a win. So congratulations there to the Bernie Mules. Maybe they might just move in our top 10, guys. I don't know. We'll see later on in the show about that one. Now let's go on and talk about the tournament that we're calling on the Bootheel Sports Network. The Bootheel Conference Tournament kicked off yesterday morning at 9 a.m. Guys, we put in a 13-and-a-half-hour day as we got there at 8 o'clock, man. Long day for us, but well worth the price of admission for us of covering a lot of ball games, 9 ball games to be exact. And we all started off in the girls' bracket, Malden and South Pemiscot, and Malden won that one, guys. Let's see what the score is. Here's my notes. Yeah, Malden won that one 62-32. A game we seen Carson Cohen had a double-double through 3 quarters only. She didn't even play the 4th quarter. She had 17 points, 11 rebounds, and then Duckworth for South Pemiscot, the leading scorer, 19 points. Trevion, you were on the call for that game. Give us a little bit of insight what you can take away from that game.
It was a great game, and coming out, I really did expect more from South Penn because when I seen them play in person, they looked really, really good and kind of unstoppable. But Malden, I know they're really good as well. And Malden, Cohen and Cobb, great. They're great. Great on defense. Malden has a great defense, and I just loved how they played off of each other very well. Always on a cut, always someone down, cherry picking off of the steal down half court and all that. And Duckworth coming out scoring more than half of the points for South Penn, and she's a great player alongside some great others. And they know how to pass well as well. Could work on a few things, but Malden just overwhelmed them. And that's about it. That's all I got to say. Malden had a great win, and I can see Malden going high in this tournament.
Right on. The thing about that is, I think South Pim's down some players, man. They only had 5 at the game. So kudos to those 5 for giving it all they could give, man. And so Malden will move on and advance, and they play the winner of the Campbell-Holcomb game, a game that Charlie Duckworth had, and that score was Holcomb pulled the upset, guys, 41-33 over Campbell, a 6 seed, beat the 3 seed. Holcomb was led by Ava Gurley with 15 points and Gabby Townsend with 17 points. Now, here's a little side note as I did my little research. Holcomb had already lost to Campbell twice in the season, guys, so they got a little revenge at a very important time. Charlie, give us a little info on that game. You covered it wire to wire.
Yeah, it was a real interesting game because coming out the game that Travion covered, the 2 versus 7, there were points where I was thinking, man, there might be an upset today because South Penn was hanging on at the beginning of that one. And I was like, well, who knows? I texted my mom. I said, it might not be this game, but I feel like there's going to be an upset in this girls' bracket at some point. And
you had a good feeling, as the Black Eyed Peas would say.
I got a feeling that, and I mean, it happened. Campbell 8-8 on the season now. They lost to a 6-13 Holcomb team, and Holcomb, they just were able to hit their shots when it mattered. Really, Ava Gurley could hit her shots. Caitlin Hardcastle as well. She was balling out. But then you have Landon Hodges, who is all like 5'10", 5'11". She's tall, and she was in that paint getting rebounds every chance that she could get. And who knows what can happen in the rest of this tournament. Maybe that propels them to make a Neelyville type run like last year in the district tournament, the Class 2 District 1 tournament. They have to run into Malden now, who they've lost to twice as well. Both of those games were not particularly that close at the end. But, I mean, like you said, Mark, they played Campbell twice, and those games weren't particularly close either. So who knows what happens? Maybe by next week we're talking about how the Holcomb Hornets just miraculously won a conference.
Stun the world. Stun the Bootheel.
I will sit here and say great things about the city of Holcomb if that happens. But they have to run into the system of what Malden girls basketball is.
Chris, I know you had some stats, man. Rebounding you were talking about was very key in that game.
Yeah, I had Hodges for 15, and she might have had more than that. But, let's talk about Coach John Hickson and the job he's done. This team come in at 4-13, guys, and that was not a 4-13 team that I watched on that floor. Them girls were in tune. Campbell was 8-8, and like you said, had already beaten them twice. You could tell adjustments were key in that game, and you got to give kudos to Coach John Hickson. He's been around. I don't know him that well, but I've seen him around. He has been coaching for a while. He's coached boys as well, and so kudos to him and his coaching staff. For the adjustments they had to make. Mackenzie Rouse is his assistant coach, and I was really impressed with Holcomb moving on. And it's going to be, they play like that. They're going to give the Malden ladies all they're going to want in the semifinal.
Yeah, for sure. And then the third girls game, and that wrapped up the day one coverage of the girls. We've seen the Haytine is the 4 seed versus the host Cena Torresville Lady Lions, the 5 seed. Haytine wins this one 61-47. Kalia Jones, the junior, scored 27 points off the bench, guys. She's been injured a lot this year, ankle injury at that. But then you got to talk about Haley Jamerson of Cena Torresville. This young lady gave it her all, man. Took a lot of hard hits as we very physical game it was. And, she went down with a back injury there, but got right back up and continued to score at will. She had 30 points in a loss, man. So Haytide gets the win and moves on. Aubrey Hall, another key factor there for the Indians. They need her to step up a little bit more if Haytide wants to give any chance of beating the Portersville Lady Bulldogs, are the number 1 seed, who they'll get a game we'll talk about a little bit later. So that's going to wrap up the ladies bracket, guys, and then we're going to move on to the JV bracket. Let's just go down the list here. Our first JV game, we had a Hayti Indians, a game I called against Campbell. Really just Campbell overwhelmed with the Hayti speed and the defense and the talent of the Indians. Hayti just, 64-9. Not much to this game, as AJ Jones had 20 for Hayti, and then Chase Bowman had the 5 points for Campbell to lead the scores there. Not much to say on that game, so we'll move on. The next JV game we had was Cena Torrensville. The Lions won that one 61-52 over Malden. Charlie, that's a game I do believe you called. That is a 4-5 matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, it was every bit of a 4-5 in that game. It was a very, 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 very good game. It was one where I feel like you look at it, you go, well, Malden had their shots at it, and then it kind of poured down onto them. And Cena, now they have to run into the 1 seed South Pim in the tournament, a game that they just played on homecoming. It was 62-60. They lost that one. So, I mean, you see right there, not a lot of difference between the 1 seed and the 5 seed in this tournament. And it's the same thing with the varsity as well. I mean, we'll talk about the varsity in a sec, but there's not a lot of difference when you go from 1 all the way down to 7. Anything can happen in this tournament. And this is a very, very good Cena's JV. I can't wait to see them play South Pim, because I feel like it's going to be fireworks in that one.
And, and we'll touch base on this here in a little bit, and we'll ask Coach Moore what I guess the thinking process of what he did to move the freshmen up. But they were without two of their big guys, man. They got moved up to varsity. So props to the Lions on that. Ibarra, is that how you say it? Ibarra had 22 for the Lions, and then Thomas and White had 12 each for the Malden Green Wave. So, and then a game that Travion and Chris had, I believe, or maybe it's Travion, Crosville and Portsville JV game.
We had both had it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one was kind of ugly. Crosville won it 36-23. So that was a 3-6 matchup. Trayson Mays had 16 for the Tigers, and Jones with 8 for the Portersville Bulldogs. Chris, I guess go ahead and start us out and then turn it over to Travion. Give us your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, first off, good job, Travion. It's the first time me and him got to work together. And, you ain't worked with somebody, you kind of got to get a rhythm. And I thought we got one. And it was just a good job, as I think we fed off each other very well when it comes to the technical part of calling the game. But within the game, we also talked about this. Portersville owned the first quarter, and then Crosville owned the second quarter. And then we had an evenly matched third quarter, and then Crosville ran away with it. Trayshawn Mays, he showed up big. And the Moten kid, too. Is it Cameron Moten? I think he had 9 in the contest. Portersville, they done a good job. They're just so young. The Caden Jones had 8. Tyson Farr, who's a freshman who gets a lot of varsity minutes, he only had 6. And Eric Simmons, who's a freshman as well, and he's going to be a good player for that Portersville program coming up. All 3 of those guys are. He had 4, but man, it was just, ugly is the word that I'd like to use, because it was the ugliest game of the day. Like I told Travion,
snoozer.
The coaches, only thing that either coach is going to be happy about this is a win. And so, man, it just, I don't know how you can dissect it 100 ways, but what is your take on it, Travion?
It was a great game, and like he said, Portersville, they was taking off with it at first. They was doing great. Then Caruthersville came out in the second quarter. You get what I'm talking about. Trayshawn showed up really well. Y'all took that from me. They played off of each other well. Elijah Hodges, you said, Chris, you think he was going to be a star of the game. And Elijah Hodges, he played really well. And another thing, getting into foul trouble. Michael Buttram, getting into foul trouble. He had the first foul of the game. and he just kept getting just pointless fouls.
Yeah.
On each side of the ball, people were making errors, technical errors that impacted the game a lot. Little errors, that turnovers. One side has more possessions than the other, and more opportunities to score. Turnovers, bad passes, just anything, and not being able to knock down free throws and clutch situations really matters.
Yeah, and kudos to Coach Billings on the adjustments that they made to turn it around, because Portsmouth jumped out, I believe, to an 8-0 lead, and I was like, "Looky here, go Dogs!" But like I say, good job by Coach Billings, Coach Bell, and that staff getting that JV win, and I get to move on.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up for the JV bracket. Next, we'll get in our varsity bracket. Our first varsity game of the night was an exciting one, guys, as the host St. Torrensville Lions did battle with the Campbells, and Lions come away with a victory 62-54. Castillo had 16 for the Lions. Freshman Porter Franklin chipped in 11 points, and then Mayberry with 19 for Campbell, and then Siebert with 12. That is Kenan Siebert. My apologies. Chris, you were on the call. Give us a little insight on the Lions and Campbell, man. I thought it was one of the best games of the night.
It was, Mark. Coming in, I hadn't seen really either one of these teams play. But Campbell gives Zenith all they wanted. I guarantee you, we'll talk to Coach Moore here in a little bit. I know they was a 3-6 game, and I know that he wanted to win by a little bit more breathing room. But to me, the difference was the free throw shooting, which is no surprise given Coach Kyle Moore is their coach. They were 18 for 19 from the free throw line. That's what I had it statted at. Man, that's going to win you a lot of games. And just think, if they'd have missed a lot of those free throws, we'd be talking about an upset there.
Yes.
Cade Sawyer and Todd Green had 10 each, but Todd Green 10 for 10. I'm sorry, 8 for 8 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter alone. So
stepped up.
That got them over the hump. It was a great game. I mean, a great game, and the home team fans were happy. I know that both sides fans was going at it in this one. But man, congratulations to Coach Kyle Moore. He got a win. They've been knocked out of the first round of the Bootheel Conference tournament, I think, the last 2 or 3 years. So for them to move on is a big thing, and it's exciting. And like I say, that gym gets loud for the home team, Mark. And they come away with a win. And thank you to free throw shooting.
Yeah, that gym was getting loud yesterday, and it's going to get loud Tuesday in there. And that JV team won the guys, like you mentioned, Green and them, they were part of that JV team that won the conference tournament last year. So props to them for carrying on their tradition there. And then we had a Malden Portageville 2 versus 7. Malden won 74-63. This game is not as close as the final score. Drew Fowler had 19 and Jack Bell 25. Once again, Chris, you were on the call for that one.
Yeah.
The game just got closer at the end. It seemed like Malden backed off a little bit, kind of took off the gas pedal, man. Yeah,
Coach TJ Smith, they kind of been struggling all year, and this is kind of this insane in line with how it's been for the whole season for Portageville. Now they're, I think, 4-15 now, and it's like they were just trying to keep their wheels were spinning. They were trying to get a little traction, but Malden, kudos to them, Coach Steve Fowler. Like I say, the game was a lot closer than he would like. I promise you that, being a 2-7 game, and big props to my Dogs for not giving up and fighting hard to the end. But and Jack Bell had 25 in this one. He's going to be back next year. Deuce Hack, I was impressed with the charges that we drew as a team. I think Braden Jeffries had one. Deuce Hickenbottom might have had a couple. Those can be big momentum turners in a game, especially when Malden was rolling. But there's just really not a whole lot to say about this one, guys. I think it turned out the way it was probably supposed to. And of course, Malden, they get to move on and in the semifinals, and we'll get to see them Tuesday night.
Yeah, and then the nightcap in a game that pretty excited about, a 4 versus 5, South Pemscott and Crowsville, and the Tigers get the win. South Pem beat them earlier in the year, so they get a little revenge. and win this one 83-71. Tigers started off hot, and hot was Sammy Bryant as he ended up with 30 for the night. And then Parker Carlisle, who just continues to do great things against Scrubsville Tigers, Charlie. He had 27.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to get some good wide open looks, but most of his stuff, most of the points did come in the paint or in the elbow. And what was interesting to see that was different was the way that the Tigers kind of played defense. They were not really pressing a lot in this game. They were kind of just letting the play come to them instead of forcing some chaos, which is very unlike Crothersville. Especially this year, they've run the press a lot more than they have consistently done in previous seasons, and it was just really impressive to see how they could bounce back from the month of January that they had, which started off looking promising, and then it kind of did start looking, oh, well, what's Crothersville going to do in the tournament? That was the conversation. And, I mean, they came out 12-point win. Sammy had 31. But it was that interior defense really won it for the Tigers. The ability to just get in there, put your feet down, and just guard in the lower third of the court was very, very, very impressive. It really helped them win this game, and it helped shut out players like Ty Campbell, who didn't have that much of an effect on this game, or a player like Robert Farmer, who had 18, but most of it was coming off of just a wide open look on a fast break. So it was really just interesting to see how much of a difference one game can make and the adjustments you make in that.
Yeah, they moved some players up and really shut Ty Campbell down. I think that's the difference in the games.
You know, Charlie was talking about the defense and how they like to press. I think by them playing back, that was just a respecting South Pembroke's speed. You know, because so many times Robert Farmer's out on that run out at the other end. I know Coach Bell, Coach Billings, did not want to let that happen. And like you said, I was a little surprised that they kind of packed the defense in. But once I thought about it, I kind of understood, because not many teams have the speed of South Pem. Haytime, I could get away with it, but there's not a lot of teams that's going to want a full court press for the most part against South Pem. I know that at times, you know, you call for it, but I was impressed with the defense of Crothersville more than anything. And like I say, congratulations, Coach Bell. They're moving on as well.
I think Bigum Rogers stepped up big time in the game. He had a great game, as Charlie calls him, the wall. So he did a great job down there, man. And guys, that's going to be some interesting games come up Tuesday night. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But now we're going to bring on our special guest who's been waiting patiently in the studio. So we'll bring him in, and Coach Kyle Moore of the Zenith Hornersville Lions. How you doing, Coach Moore?
Good. How are you guys?
Man, we're great, man. Hey, first of all, welcome to Shooting Hoops in the Boot podcast. We appreciate you coming on with us, and we appreciate the job you do in Southeast Missouri with these young people and coaching the game of basketball. That's a game I know you love, and it's very near and dear to your heart. Coach, just for our younger viewers out there who might not know a little bit about Kyle Moore, as we cover a lot of ground here on our YouTube channel. So give us a little background on Kyle Moore.
Okay. I graduated from Zenith Hornersville in 2016. Went to Crowley's Ridge College, played a little college ball. Knew I wanted to get into coaching, and, you know, that got into it. I planned to come back to Zenith all along. I didn't know it'd be this soon, but the doors opened, and here I am. Been here for 5 years and 3 years at the high school. So.
And how many career points?
In high school?
Yes.
2013. That was my final.
Right. I think me and Chris were there for 1,000 to 2,000, I believe what it was.
Yeah.
And so congratulations on that, man, and congratulations on stepping into the world of high school coaching, man. And Coach, so how did this weather affect the team as far as postponement of the games?
Well, I think so. I think it affected everybody. You know, we weren't able to get into a gym until Wednesday. So we were kind of out of rhythm. I felt like before all the snow, we were playing really, really well. We were sharp, and doing some things right, and that snow came and got stuck in the house for 5 days. So, but it affected everybody. It wasn't just us. So.
Yeah, that's one thing about it. And one positive, if you had any injuries, they definitely had time to heal if you're off 10 or 11 days.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
my last question, and I'll turn it over to Charlie. What kind of process goes into moving your young freshman up to play in the varsity in a big time tournament like the Bootheel Conference tournament?
Yeah, so man, it really just kind of it goes season by season. My first year as a head coach, I kind of played my kids down. The Castillo kid, he was a sophomore, and him, the Sawyer kid, who's my leading scorer. I played them down. I just felt like we had a better shot at that time to compete. And right now I feel like both groups got a chance. So I did what I did what I could to get those younger guys ready and healthy. The Franklin kid who had 11 yesterday, he's not been healthy. He had his appendix removed, and he's finally getting back in shape and moving around pretty good. So it's a good problem to have, not knowing if you want to play him up or down. But
yeah, that is a good problem to have. Charlie Duckworth, you got anything for Coach Moore?
Yeah, I just have one question. It's about the game upcoming against Malden. Earlier in the season, you guys lost by 11, 68-57 at home. What changes have you made since that loss?
Well, we're working on some things and then trying to figure. I don't want to say too much on it just yet,
right.
but we're working on some things.
Game planning.
And
Good try, Charlie. Good try.
Yeah, working on some things, and
Charlie's scouting for Malden.
they've got some size, in their front court, and that's something that we're not very big. I feel like we're pretty scrappy, but those guys are big and athletic, and we got to try to figure out, we've tried to close the gap, over the years, lifting weights and stuff like that, but you just can't match athleticism always. So you got to get creative, try to figure some stuff out.
Coach Moore, welcome into the Bootheel Sports Network. Like I say, you're probably not aware, but I used to keep the book for Hayti, and anytime we played you guys and you was open, it was just the heart sunk because you knew that you didn't want to leave him open. You're a hometown guy, coming back. You could have chose to do anything and go anywhere, but you chose to come back to Zenith. Talk to me about what Zenith means to you, Coach.
Man, so I went through a stretch, and when I was in high school, and I felt like I had a group we were fairly talented. I played baseball too, for those that didn't know. I had 6 coaches in 4 years, and I just not really a program. And I don't know. It means a lot to me. And I know I've known these kids' families for forever, since I was, 10, 12 years old. So it means a lot to me, and I'm happy that I've got some buy-in, and I got, community support and stuff. And it's good, man. I love it a lot, and I'm glad I'm here, and I'm excited, man, because we're finally, I feel like, starting to somewhat turn a corner and do some things, and get a little respect. So,
well, me and Mark showed up there early yesterday, and when we walked in the building, Coach, you was working. I mean, you was actually doing some work there. You didn't wait around, and so that was impressive. Tell me about coaches that over your career, being Pee Wee. It ain't even got to be basketball, but some coaches that you look up to.
Okay, so just in our Bootheel Conference, Coach Lamont, man, he's always been a big supporter of mine. He always, been patting me on the butt and as a player, and then as a coach, he's here for me. I played for old Michael Minner, who is at Charleston.
Oh, yeah.
Played for Michael Minner for a couple summers. I love him. Jamie Johnson, who is principal at East Prairie. David Heath, I played for him for a year. We were young, but I played for him. And then, like the coaches in my conference, they've been a lot of help. I mean, Fowler's, he helps me a lot, and reach out, speak to him some. And you can't find, really, just as a whole in the Bootheel Conference, just better coaches and better. I mean, they're great humans, man. That's a big deal for me, just being great dudes.
I really one more thing, Coach. I did a little research, and it looked like you guys have lost in the first round of the Bootheel Conference tournament 4 out of the last 5 years. So congratulations for getting over the hump, so to speak.
Yep.
And thank you for being on, Coach. We're going to see you down the road. See you, all this week, and congratulations and good luck against Malden. And I'll turn it over to Travion.
I have just one question. How does it feel for you to be able to host the Bootheel Conference tournament in your gym?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Playing at home's always good. We're on a little rotation, I think, so you don't put in for it or anything, but it's always good when you can host a tournament. Last year we got the district tournament, and it's just a lot of fun, man. You got bigger crowds, they don't have to travel as far, and show up and support your teams, and it's better when you can win a couple games in the tournament. So
yeah, I would call that a pretty big, huge advantage.
Yeah.
When you think, Coach Moore?
Yep, I'd say so. They tell you, your role players always play better at home. So it's always a good thing.
And that was going to be something I thought about is if you were, let's just say you're in a hostile environment at Hayti or Crowsville, the tournament was there. Would that affect you moving the 2 freshmen up? Do you think being at home made it a little bitty, maybe an easier decision?
Yeah, so I've actually moved three freshmen got moved up.
Okay.
Chase Small, and he didn't clock a lot of minutes yesterday, but he's somebody, and I had that conversation with him, like, man, like, you can run around on JV, play a lot of minutes, but I may need you to win a game, and he was all for it, and he was a great sport about it, and but yeah, I mean, I think you look at all the variables and use everything that you've got to decide, but being at home makes it a little easier, like I said, because they move up and play a role rather than, being the guys on JV. And so they say your role guys play better at home. And Porter Franklin stepped up just yesterday and had 11 points. So.
Yeah, and I can tell those young guys from past experience, and it wasn't good on my end because we had beat Portersville twice in the regular season in my senior year of high school basketball. And they moved 2 sophomores up, being Garmin and Holloman, and those guys beat us in the championship game of the Bootheel Conference tournament, and they beat us in the championship game of district. So sophomores moving up is nothing new, but it can help a team, as you said, and win important games, either a conference tournament or a district tournament. And that's why I very much despise that P that Chris has got on right there, because they have broke my heart more than once. And also, a funny story is St. Hornersville, Kyle. You talked about baseball. They were good back in my day, and they beat us in the finals of the district baseball tournament 2-1. So that's a lot of history between me and some Boot Hill teams and losing district titles. But anyway, Coach, man, first of all, I want to give a thank you to you and your staff for the hospitality they have given us and taking good care of us over there, even last year during the districts, and especially this year for turning the air conditioner off. It's much better in there, as last year we about froze our butts off in there. But, man, y'all have been great for us, and I appreciate it all. And thank you for joining us here on the Boot Hill Sports Network, and we will see you tomorrow in the Lion's Den, as we call it here on the Boot Hill Sports Network, Coach. Thank you a lot.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. All right, that is Coach Kyle Moore from the St. Hornersville Lions as they try to win in the JV and varsity, guys, championships of the Boot Hill Conference Tournament. And speaking of that Boot Hill Conference Tournament, now let's get going on games that we're going to see tomorrow night. As the number 1, the Lady Bulldogs of Portersville take on the number 4 seed Hayti Indians. Chris, I know Portersville sit back and was at home probably watching, and Coach Fowler, I'm sure, has got a game plan for Jones and Hall. And if you shut those 2 down, I think Portersville can win this game pretty easily.
Well, the pressure that Hayti is going to have to endure, we're going to have to see how they're going to handle that, because I think that Portersville, the ladies, they have one of the best full court presses that there is. They ran it last year and caused a ton of turnovers. And like you said, most most coaches would say, well, you stop Glow Farmer and you're going to be in a good position. But Portersville is just talented all the way across the board with Irby on the 3 and Satori Saxton, and then the Hickenbottom, Deuce's little sister. She's a good player as well. And they just got so many pieces in place. They really deserve that 1 seed. And, we'll see how Hayti responds, Mark, because me and you're going to have the call on that game. Portersville hasn't played, I don't think, in a while, so that may be something that to be looked at. Hayti looked very good Saturday. Hadn't seen them play this year other than on some video, but I was impressed with them. And like you said, it's going to be a good matchup. Portersville should win this one easy, but hey, you're in the semifinals of the Bootheel Conference tournament. Anything can happen, as we seen in the Stoddard County tournament. Yesterday, anything can happen when it comes to tournament time. And Coach Kelly Fowler is going to have their nose to the grindstone, and it's going to be full court press for that game. And I'm just excited and can't wait to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, you talked about Stoddard County tournament. James Hodges is on with us here tonight. We appreciate him tuning in, and he was on the call last night. So I'm pretty sure that was an exciting moment for him, man. And wow, what a moment for Stroud as well. All right, guys, Charlie and Travion, Holcomb and Malden will be the next game. You guys have the call on that. Charlie, lead us into that one.
Yeah, I mean, it really all comes down to, does Holcomb have that magic that they had yesterday? Can they get Hardcastle in there and just be able to score like she did against Campbell, against Campbell and Ava Gurley? Can she hit the 3 like she did against Campbell? The issue is that they're running into a Malden team that has been here, that has that experience. It might not be the same players, but it's the coaching staff. They got this experience. They've been to the finals back-to-back years and lost to Porterville. So they see what's next. Obviously, they're focusing on Holcomb, but they see the road ahead. They could see a rematch against Porterville again, and they are going out for blood in this one. But, like I said, it matters on the guard play in this game. Can Cobb hit some shots for Malden? Can Gurley hit some shots for Holcomb? Who knows? It all comes down to that, really.
Rebounding is going to be important too in this game.
Yeah.
Rebounding.
Malden, like I've seen, I love a defensive sided team, and Malden, they got it. A ton of steals as a team. They play off each other really well, and I think that goes up good against players like Holcomb, who are really good on the offensive side, and like he said, knocking down the 3, just being good beyond the perimeter.
Yeah, and then there you go, man. And the winner of those will move on to play the championship on Thursday, and that is a 6:00 game, as you see right there on our bracket. Now, moving on to the JV bracket, and we got a first game, which will be a early start, a 3:30. Well, we got a matinee. We went from breakfast with Bootheel Sports Network to now a matinee start time, as we have South Pemiscot and Zenith Hornetsville. And like Charlie said earlier in the podcast, this is a rematch that South Pemiscot won 62-60. South Pemiscot is a 1 seed. They are very tough, as I've seen them a few times this year. They're 11-3, and Zenith Hornetsville, the 6 seed, is 8-3. South Pemiscot's got 3 kids named Jones, Travion, Damaris, and can't remember the other one's name, but those boys are tough, man. So I really look for South Pemiscot to win this one with the move-ups of the 3 freshmen that Zenith Hornetsville moved up to play with a varsity. So I think, a little closer last time, but I don't think it's going to be that close this time because South Pemiscot is loaded. They did not move anybody up. So therefore, that is my reasoning behind that one. And then, guys, we got any comments on that one?
I could see this one going down to the wire again. I could very honestly see Zenith pulling out this one. South Pim, me and Travion saw them play against Crothersville. They lost that one to the Tigers in Crothersville a couple months ago now, and it depends on if Cena's going to get hot without their main guys out there. Is Noblin going to be out there being able to get into the and
Well, he was
the
knocking them
boards?
down yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah, and is Ibarra going to be able to get that same heat that he got yesterday? I mean, it really comes down to the stars that are left at Zenith versus the rest of the people at Malden or at South Pim.
Yeah, and plus, I'm like Charlie. I think this could come down to the wire. My question is, how's South Pim going to come out, because they haven't played in a while. And Zenith, got a game under their belt, and they're going to have to. South Pim's going to have to fight that home crowd as well. So I think this one, I can see this one coming down to the wire, but I'm going to go like Mark says. I think South Pim is going to do enough to pull this one out. I think they're going to move on to the final.
Travion, you got anything on this one?
I don't really got too much to say. As like, I think I'm on the same page as you guys. I really think South Pim is going to pull it through, and South Pim come through with it.
Yeah, you see a comment there by Amber, whose son plays for South Pim Scott there. She's just saying that, felt like that was an early season matchup, and now they're gelling a little more. And I kind of believe that, as I've seen them against Hayti, and they look good, man.
Yeah. And
they actually beat Hayti. So, and then Battle of the Bootheel time, guys. And you always got to love it when these two teams get together. And we're not only going to get to see this one, we're going to get to see it in varsity level as well. So we'll talk about it a little bit now. This is a rematch. Of course, Hayti won the regular season 75-56. Hayti with a 2 seed and Crosville with a 3 seed. Wow, I just can't wait, guys. This is going to be awesome to watch. A rematch of the Battle of Bootheel. Anytime we can get that in a conference tournament, which just means more, it's going to be exciting. Charlie Duckworth?
I mean, it really comes down to the fact, can Crothersville cope with the loss of Faison Taylor and Donzel Foster on their JV? They moved up to varsity full-time last night for sure. And, I mean, in the game against Hayti a couple weeks ago, Faison had 6 blocks in that one in junior varsity. He was there. He was ready and able, but how is it going to be different when you don't have that size anymore on your junior varsity? Because they ran a pretty small ball lineup against Portageville last night. And Hayti has that size on their JV. I mean, we saw them yesterday against Campbell. The cold did not affect them at all because they were on point.
That's right. Yesterday. They were on fire. And they can rotate 5 in and 5 out as well.
I mean, and Crothersville's going to have some of those guys play the majority of minutes. Cam Moten's going to have to ball out. You're going to have Trayshawn Mays, all-state in football, best performance in basketball yesterday. And, I mean, you're going to have him be able to kind of replicate that performance if you want to keep it close against Hayti. It's a really tough task for the Tigers in this one.
Looking back on that South Pim Zenith game, after that game's over, whoever wins that's going to sit back and hope that Crosville and Hayti beats the dog crap out of each other, because it's going to be a battle. A lot's going to be taken out of each team. Coach Noel Billings, he can make them adjustments. I was very impressed with Hayti, though, man. The speed they got, it's kind of unreal. Of course, they didn't have much of a challenge Saturday, but they'll be up for this one, man. This is going to be a good one. But I've got Hayti moving on in this one. Travion?
I think it's going to be a great game, and Crothersville, after winning against South Pim last night, they did great running into foul trouble and just staying disciplined even in the late stages of the game. They didn't let anything get to them. They didn't get in their heads. They didn't go off or anything. They didn't act out of character. They played a great game. They played to the end, and they came out with the win after losing to them in the regular season early on out here in Crothersville, playing them, and they just felt like they had a chip on their shoulder coming in here, and they beat them, come out, and I think they still have a chip on their shoulder with Hayti, and they'll be a great game. But there's no doubt about it. Out of the whole tournament, whoever wins this, they're taking it all. Hayti and Crothersville.
You said South Pim, but you meant Portersville. It's going to take more than 36 points to beat Hayti. I can tell you right now. Hayti can fill it up lot of speed. So you're going to need some more offensive output somewhere. I'm sure Coach Lamont Bell's got a game plan there together as he's listening there here tonight. We thank Coach Bell for joining. And we got Coach G in the house as well, guys, the head football coach of those Crowsville Tigers, where he's still hanging on to that Bow the Bootheel football trophy, just being greedy over there, man. I'll tell you. Coach G, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you. All right, guys, and then it is varsity time. And a matchup at 6 o'clock, the Battle of the Bootheel. We're just talking about number 1 seed, Hayti Indians, who haven't played in 13 days, guys. I did talk to Coach Webb. They've been able to get some practice in, so that's good. But this is the positive for Hayti because they've been battling some injuries. Combat's been hurt a little bit. Isaiah Love has really been hurt with turf toe, I do believe, man. And, so Hayti and the injury bug and pain has even been hurt a little bit as well. So, man, Hayti had some injuries they worked through, and I think they're going to be healthy and come out and going to win this one, guys. But Crowsville, don't ever sleep on the 2 move-ups are going to help, and rotating more in and out for them. Of course, we know Hayti's very deep on that bench. They're going to rotate all night long and can wear you out with that speed and that defensive pressure. They swarm like gnats do on my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, man. That's how quick they are, man. In and out like crazy. Charlie Duckworth, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, when the Battle of the Bootheel happened a few weeks ago, I talked to a couple of the players the next day, and they said that they felt like they had a chance, and then they heard that crowd, and they were like, okay, well, who knows, you know? But I think this one's going to be a lot different. It's a neutral site. If we're talking about anything, last night Crowsville had the best crowd there. Let's be real. They're going to travel well Tuesday. They're prepared for revenge on Tuesday. I think Quan McVeigh and Sammy Bryant both don't want their last memory of playing Hayti to be a loss on their record. And so I think that's the Tigers are going to pull up an upset. I'm going to say it, an upset on the Hayti Indians, and they're going to advance to play either Zenith or Malden on Thursday.
Woo.
You got that 1 Hayti and that 5 Crowsville. You might as well take that 1 and throw it away. Take that 5 and throw it in the trash. Hayti's 11-4. You can take that record and throw it away. Crowsville's 10-11. You can throw that record away. It's just Hayti versus Crothersville, man. Growing up in Hayti, there ain't nothing like this matchup year after year after year. Coach Webb against Coach Bell, 2 fine, outstanding leaders of young men and young people there at their respective schools. I can't say enough about what the job that Coach Bell's done in Crothersville and Coach Webb's done in Hayti. But I think, I was on the fence about this game. Even thought about wanting to go with Crowsville. I think the difference is going to be the depth of the Hayti Indians. Of course, we'll see how they come out. But man, they got 3-point shooters everywhere. This is going to be a battle, guys. And I think this is going to be probably the best game on Tuesday. Close, like I say, you can throw the records and the seeds out the window. I'm going to go with Hayti by very little in this game, and they're going to move on and play Thursday. Travion?
I've had a little mix-up, and the last topic about the JV, what I said was I was talking about the varsity. So if I go back a little bit on the if I go back a little bit on the junior varsity, I had a little talk with someone actually in the crowd. They were speaking to me about the junior varsity, if you should not move up Faison and DJ and move some players down probably from that level so JV can win it all because they have all the size and they're electric enough to do that. But after the South Pim game, I don't think there's no doubt about it.
That is true.
Yeah.
Quan did not play that basically that whole second half.
And there's a reason he didn't play. I mean, don't act like he's hurt.
Yeah.
He got himself in foul trouble, so he's going to have to play smarter.
Yeah, and guys, the referees, I'm sure we'll have the same ones. They were calling it tight for most of the games. Which is kind of unusual for a Bootheel conference. You like to see the guys, play, but And that ain't no knock on the referees. We got an outstanding group of referees here in this area. A bunch of them's my friends. Easy to talk to, and they got a job to do, and they call it right down the middle. Kudos to the officials around here in this area. But man, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting night, man. And all right, guys, let's get into our top 10, a thing that everybody seems very interested in. And we get the laughy faces and the bad comments in the inbox as well. Let's go over our top 10 last week, Charlie. If you got that, it can pull it up for us. I know we had Chaffee at 10, Risco at 9, South Iron at 8, Delta Bobcats at 7, Scott City Rams at 6, Hayti at 5, Van Buren at 4, Puxico at 3, Woodland at 2, and Bunker at 1. Right there it is. That is our top 10 from last week, and we know some things are going to change after this weekend, guys. But as far as top 10, guys, let's see. Charlie, can you pull Big Danny Glasses in there?
I don't have it.
It's in the Facebook Messenger.
1 sec. Let me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do mine first, and then we'll talk about Danny's and everybody else's. My top 10, I got Bunker at let's start at number 10. I got a tie as Cooter and Bernie. Bernie, with the big win, I moved them into my top 10. They are tied with Cooter. Bernie, of course, 12-5. Cooter at 15-3. My honorable mentions, I got South Pim and South Iron. South Pim took a hard-nosed loss to Crowsville, so I had to move them out. South Iron at 15-4. There is my honorable mention. Number 9 is Risco at 13-5. I got Chaffee at number 8 at 14-4. Chaffee having an outstanding year. They got a win in the Scott Mississippi County tournament over Scott County Central. They got East Prairie coming up on February the 3rd. They got a big game against Zenith Hornersville on the 11th. As far as Risco, they got a game coming up against Gideon on February the 2nd, and North Pemiscot, on the 3rd, and then Richland on the 5th. So I expect Risco to win 3 games this week. And who else was it? Cooter. I haven't had a chance to look at Cooter's schedule, but Delta is my number 7 team. They're 14-3. Delta is also going to be in the Scott Mississippi tournament this week as well. And number 6 team, I got Scott City Rams. They're 15-3. Scott City beat Oak Ridge 85-33. And then they got Delta coming up in the tournament on February the 3rd. So that about to be a great game, as that's my 6 versus 7 team there. I got the Indians at 5. We know what they got coming up. We already talked about it. Woodland, who took a big, hard loss, and I mean a heartbreaking loss in the conference tournament there. They're 16-2. I dropped them down to 4. I moved Van Buren up to 3, 13-2. Van Buren sitting idle, just waiting on their chance to play, and they're going to get it tomorrow as they play Lesterville. And then they got the conference tournament, Neelyville and Woodland coming up this week as well. So a busy week for Van Buren to get back on the hardwood. Puxico at number 2, guys, 19-1. And if they win the conference tournament, they're going to go back-to-back. And I've often said that Bloomfield has become Puxico's second home, as they love to win over there, winning the conference tournament and the Christmas tournament as well. And number 1 team is the Bunker Eagles, guys. They just continue to win. They got a big win over Class 5 Festus the other night. Mm-hmm. And Festus is just because they're in Class 5, they're 13-5 on the year. And Bunker beat them 55-50. So that's a big win. They got St. Pius the 10th coming up. And they got Liberty Mountain View, who is 13-2, and that's a Class 3 team. So Bunker doesn't have an easy schedule, guys. So for them to be 20-0, we all know good teams have a bad night. So it's unbelievable, and what a run they're on. That is my top 10. Charlie, were you able to get Danny Glasses?
There you go.
There it is. There's Danny Glasses. Of course, Big Dan's one of our fine sponsors on the Bootheel Sports Network, and he goes to a lot of big games, guys, and that's why he calls himself Big Game Dan. You seen him over there at Bloomfield last night. He'll probably be around the Bootheel Conference Tournament the next few nights as Bloomfield takes a couple nights off. He's got Bernie Mules tied for 10th with Cooter, and then Risco at 9. South Pemiscot at 8. He's still got them in his top 10. Delta Bobcats at 7. Scott City Rams at 6. And the Haytime is at 5, Woodland at 4, Van Buren at 3, Puxico at 2, and Bunker at 1. All right. Charlie Duckworth, what you got, buddy?
All right. So what I got my honorable mentions: Zenith, South Iron, and Malden this week. South Iron kind of bounced back from that upset they had. They're going to stay in my honorable mentions. And then Zenith and Malden, those two, whoever wins probably will be my 10 next week. It just kind of depends on what the rest of the week looks like. Number 10, I got Risco. Flat out, they're the best team in the Tri-County Conference in my eyes. Cooter's there, yes, but I mean, they beat Cooter. I think that they just are up here. Everyone else is kind of here. Number 9, I got Bernie, and I have one word on there, what, in big caps, because what were they on yesterday that had them beat Woodland? That was a shocker right there in Bloomfield. Number 8, I got Chaffee. They're a good team. They've been teeter-tottering on my honorable mentions and my top 10 every other week, it feels like, and people have let us know how they feel about that. That's all I'll say.
That's right.
7, Delta, they are scary good out there. The Delta Bobcats are 14-3 on the season. Number 6, Scott City. I want to see how they fare in the Scott, Mississippi tournament. Number 5, Hayti. They await Tuesday. It's been a long break for them. Number 4, we got Woodland. They lost, but Corbin Kinder did get hurt in that game. I will add that. Corbin Kinder did get hurt. I don't know how much of a difference it would be.
So you put an asterisk on there, Charlie?
I might put an asterisk on there. It might have been a Mickey Mouse win. Corbin Kinder got hurt though. I mean, I heard a few asterisks last week on the rankings, so I'll stay there. Number 3, I got Van Buren. They have done nada, but by the property of teams around them losing, they're
enjoying the snow, right?
Yeah, they kind of have to move up to 3. They probably did a sled down the current river when it froze.
Yes.
Number 2, I got Puxico. Buzzer beater, man. That was a very impressive performance from them, just to battle that adversity and come back and win that one. And then number 1, to fly like an eagle, because it's Bunker. Undefeated. They snuck by Festus, I will say. That game was a close one throughout. They snuck by with the W in that one. So see how they do this week. You said they play St. Pius and Liberty, right?
Yes.
Well, St. Pius has not won a game. And then Liberty,
they're not very good, but that Liberty team's good.
Yeah, Liberty's good.
All right. So, first of all, Jonathan Montgomery, he's got a comment over here that said, put Zenith in that top 10, man. You don't know how I debated that. I don't have them in my top 10 or my honorable mention, and we didn't really get to talk about, Mark, about the game they got coming up against Malden. But if they was to win that one on the main event, I call it on Tuesday night, things might change. But my honorable mentions, I've got Cooter, South Iron, and Malden. My number 10 team, I've got Bernie. For beating Woodland. Number 9, I got Chaffee. Number 8, I got Risco. 7, I got Delta. 6, Scott City. 5 was Woodland. I have them dropping from 2 to 5. Number 4, Van Buren. Hayti is my big mover, even though they hadn't played. Just a gut feeling. Them boys are good. I'm going to put them at 3. And number 2 team is Puxico, and number 1 team is Bunker.
Hey, my apologies. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we stepped over that game. So let's go ahead and get into it then. St. Lawrenceville and Malden as a 2 versus 3 seed. And, of course, the Lions are at home. And Coach Moore looking for that very first Bootheel Conference Tournament championship. Give your thoughts on that one, Charlie D.
I mean, it's real interesting. These 2 teams played earlier in the season. Malden won that game by 11. But what I saw yesterday was a Malden team that I don't care what the final score was or how far away that score was. They a 2 versus 7. We saw 2 versus 7s as well, and they were common 2 versus 7s. That one, I feel like they were a little complacent in that game. I think they're a good team. Malden's a very good team. I just think that if you give Zenith the chances that they gave Portageville to kind of ease their way back into that game, make that game closer, it gets a little spooky. when we talk about that. Zenith, they just had a war with Campbell yesterday, so they kind of had that battle-tested readiness. They are ready to beat Malden, and I mean, I have Zenith win the whole conference, so I kind of you know who my pick is going to be here. It's going to be Zenith Hornersville.
You should have mentioned that when Coach Moore was on here, man. He might have gave you an extra hospitality plate.
Oh man, I get more Rotel. They ran out of Rotel or whatever. They took it away from me. I was so happy for some Rotel.
Man, Zenith and Malden. This is going to be another good game, guys. These bottom 2 games on Tuesday are going to be must-see TV. Man, you know, I've been high on Malden all year. Picked them to win the Bloomfield tournament because they got so much size. Dientes Dobbins, you know, Benford got Moncrief as well.
Yeah.
And plus you got, you know, Fowler on the outside. This is going to come down to, I think it's going to come down to maybe free throw shooting, fouls. And so with this game, I'm going to pick Zenith in the slight upset. And I got Coach Kyle Moore and the Lions moving on to their first Bootheel Conference final in probably a long, long time. So it's going to be a good game, and I can't wait for that one. What do you think about it, Travion?
I don't really have much to say. Speaking on Zenith, and Zenith had like I said, Chris, you was talking about how the last JV game we did together was the craziest game of the night. I think Zenith and Campbell was a great game. They have some giants. And just working well in the paint, and also they have some people who can shoot.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So there we go. And then where were we on the top 10? Chris, did we get yours in?
I got mine. Yes. Yeah.
Travion, you got a top 10 to discuss. I know you wasn't planning on being on the show until about 15 minutes before, but do you have a top 10?
Yeah, I got it figured out. I was working on it over here.
Right on, man.
And so I have at my honorable mentions, I have Cooter and I have Malden. Cooter, a bunch of great athletes as well. Always been great athletes, especially in basketball. Malden, a great athletic team, well-rounded, and they know how to play well off of each other. Chaffee, I don't really have much to say about them. A real athletic group. But also Bernie, I had to put them in there because Bernie, the game against Woodland, just did great, and I'm surprised. And Risco, at 8, Delta at 7, Scott City at 6, Woodland at 5. I did have Woodland higher, but the loss to Bernie put him down a little bit lower. At number 4, I have Hayti. Number 3, Van Buren. Number 2, Puxico. Still talking about the buzzer beater, and Buckner at number 1. Buckner coming out, going off against a Class 5 team, and Festus they're usually real good round down there, well-rounded, and Buckner came out with the win. So they got my number 1.
Bunker Eagles are consensus number 1, no doubt about that. And now it's time to, I guess, tally up the votes, Charlie, and we're going to see who is the new number 1.
It is Bunker. Who could have guessed?
Right.
So our top 10 overall, we got 10, Bernie. Number 9, Risco. Number 8, Chaffee. Are you happy now? Number 7, Delta. Number 6, Scott City. 5, Hayti. 4, Woodland. The biggest mover down is Woodland this week. They were number 2 consistently. Number 2. Number 3, Van Buren. Number 2, Puxico. And number 1, Bunker, because they're undefeated. Who could have guessed that Bunker would be a number 1 team?
Yeah. Not only undefeated, but 20-0.
Yeah, that it's when you start getting into that 20 spot, it's like, okay, when are you gonna lose at this rate?
Right. So look at the changes. Looks like Bernie slides in our top 10. Risco was in there. South Iron fell out. Chaffee is moved up a lot, man. So congratulations to the Red Devils there, Delta, and that's about all besides the big move. Woodland losing spots there, but that's no surprise, I think, as they lost to a Bernie team. But Bernie could go on and win that tournament and keep on moving up the ladder, man. They're going to be a tough team. Hayti's got them coming up after the conference tournament, so that's a game I'll look forward to. All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. We've been over a little bit of hour, so extended version anytime you got the Bootheel Conference tournament. Oh, that's great. stuff to talk about. As you can see, that top 10, we got a lot of good teams in this area, man. And I put Southeast Missouri and the Bootheel basketball up against anybody in any state, anytime. I love our basketball and just some great teams, great coaches, as Coach Moore said. And Charlie, I know Charlie talked about it on the broadcast the other night. We are loaded with great coaches in the Bootheel Conference, and very blessed. Charlie, let's get some closing thoughts, and we'll keep moving down the line and close this thing out and get to those games tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw this debate this morning, this afternoon when I woke up, that said Stoddard County, the two teams that are at the final, would not win the Bootheel Conference tournament. That one interested me because of the hypothetical matchups you would have here. I mean, Bernie, obviously, they played Crowsville earlier this year. They play Hayti in in a few days. So who knows with that, right? But the real matchup you have is Puxco versus Hayti, Puxco versus Malden versus South Pim. That top team versus the top of the Bootheel. It's a real interesting debate, and hopefully next year teams are less I don't want to say scared, but more ready to schedule these tougher teams, because I it's cool seeing a 20-30 point blowout all the time, but I want to see a war in some of these games.
I want to see a Hayti-Crowsville game every night, right? That type of
atmosphere. That type of atmosphere. I don't want to see Hayti-Crowsville every night. That would get a little excessive.
What you got, Chris?
My closing thoughts, first of all, comment your top 10s. We follow a lot of basketball, but we would be interested to know what you think and what your top 10s is. I want to thank our old friend Ronnie Adams, who complimented me on the pullover. Appreciate that. Also, James Hodges. Mark, you'd mentioned, he is I've listened to him call some games, and man, he does an outstanding job.
Yes.
Anytime you get a chance to listen to him, do that, because he brings a lot of character and confidence to what he's talking about. And I just enjoy listening to him. The Bootheel Conference tournament, it's getting good now, guys. We got 2 Battle of the Bootheels coming up back to back on Tuesday. Can't wait for that. Also want to mention, if you get kicked out of a game, don't fret, because you got Bootheel Sports Network, baby, and we're going to be here for you. If you was to say them magic words and you get thrown out, tune in to the Bootheel Sports Network. We got your back. We always going to have your back. And I'm going to end with saying, Jeremy Abrams, we miss you, bud. Now's the time that I just miss you, and I know you're looking down. I know you're pulling for them Tigers. And I just want to say, Jeremy Abrams, man, we miss you.
Yeah, this is a time that Jeremy would be right there, man, with us and going strong. And yeah, I had some things planned for later on in the week, man. And I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, we desperately miss him, man. Trevion?
My closing thoughts. So it's been a lot of the conference tournament, a lot of great games, not really a boring moment or a dull moment at all. It was always an eye opener and a lot of games, a lot of nasty, real physical games. And I'm just glad there were some great games. You've seen some upsets, and I've been seeing a lot of crazy things here on the Bootheel Sports Network. Excuse me. Bless me.
All right, man.
I had one more thing to say.
All right.
The quarter zip pullover that you guys have given me, I loved it, man. I think it looked really nice, and I finally get to rep the full gear.
There you go, man. Welcome to the team. We glad that you have joined us, and to carry on that tradition that Jeremy started, he handed down to Charlie, and now Charlie's going to hand it down to you. You got some big shoes to fill over there covering those Carruthersville Tigers. There you go. Sherman Manley says Puxco and Hayti may end up, and that is true. If they do, it will be in a quarterfinal matchup. We were hoping to get that last year, as Hayti just could not hold up their ends. They blew a 16-point lead to South Iron, and you got to think that's in the back of those kids' mind and wanting to get back there again. So that's another reason for the Indians to get on down there and see if they can get that matchup that they wanted last year and move on to Columbia, Missouri. Hey, thanks for everybody who tuned in, all the comments. Great interaction here tonight as we continue to grow on the Bootheel Sports Network YouTube page. We're over 10,400 Our next goal is 15,000. So get us there. I appreciate it. If everybody can spread the word, we will see you tomorrow night in Zenith Hornetsville at the Lions Den. Until the end of Smart Manley, Troy Duckworth, Chris Brown, Travion Carter saying so long for the Bootheel Sports Network.